Just waiting for Samantha to come on. She should be here any minute. It's a beautiful day for those who, oops, she's saying she can't join. Okay, let's try again. Okay, I just invited Samantha, so let's hope she can join. I was starting to say that if anyone can get out today, because it really is beautiful out. They're calling for freezing rain tomorrow, so definitely get out. Oops. She's Samantha is still unable to join for some reason. Let's try this one more time. Okay, here we go. Sent the invite. So let's see if she can join us. Some reason she's having difficulty to join us. Okay. Hold on. Oops. Oh, oh, cancel this. Okay. Accept. Okay. Ah, okay. We
But I
got it.
went to get my phone because you weren't accepting. I'm like,
I
don't do
anyway.
hair
Okay.
pros.
We got it. Sorry. Sorry about that. You know me. I'm not the best with this stuff. Anyway. Okay. Did you go out for a walk yet? Get some fresh air? It's beautiful.
No, no, did
No,
you?
no. After, yeah, I did. I had to go to Home Hardware to get a towel bar for the staff room. So
Oh, I
it's
see.
good. Yes, very busy, very busy.
Awesome.
So Mr. Benmore, you're taking a back seat here? I don't
Well, I
think
can take a
so.
front seat, as you
I
wish.
think you need a front seat here because you're the one who we're going to be asking a lot of questions of.
Sounds good.
Okay,
We're
Sam?
going to reverse roles and ask the lawyer all the questions. We're going to cross-examine here.
Exactly, exactly.
So first and foremost, everybody, welcome to the Graph Girls Real Talk. Our topic today is micro condos and the journey over the last 2 years from larger commercial space, whether owned or leasing, to smaller lease space, back to ownership again. So this is Steve Benmor, also known as my husband and one of Toronto's top certified family lawyer divorce specialists and strategists. So
And my son-in-law,
yes,
most
yes.
important.
And you know, not as I wrote in the description of this segment, Steve has had this journey, as I mentioned, and it's not surprising that somebody who strategizes for a living would put such a concept into place. And just so happens his wife and mother-in-law are realtors, so the real estate investment made sense. And we are going to walk you guys through the journey. So do you want to?
Sure. So what happened was, I've been running my law practice for nearly 30 years. And for the last about 15, I owned a building at Bathurst and Eglinton, which altogether was about 2,500 square feet. And it housed my entire staff and, of course, clients when they arrived. It had offices upstairs, offices in the lower level, had a boardroom, had a reception area. And then March 2020 came, and the doors were shuttered, and nobody was going into the office. I was going in once every few weeks to pick up mail. Sometimes staff would do that. At the end of the day, it became evident that this place was being used just as a storage facility. And so after a number of months, in consultation with the Graph Girls, I decided to give up that space. I owned the building, so I rented it out, but I still needed office space, so I moved into a shared co-office type arrangement near where I live. And so it shrunk our space significantly because in the shared space situation, there's boardrooms and meeting rooms and copy centers and so forth. So I only really needed one office for the purposes of staff showing up or not, should they wish to. And they did on occasion. And of course, through the period of COVID, things changed over time. One would come in, two would come in, but it was still mainly used as a drop-off pickup location and the odd time for people to work together side by side. When I looked at what I was paying for that space, which altogether was about 150 square feet, plus, of course, the shared space surrounding, I realized that that money could be better deployed. So again, in consultation with the Graph Girls, we started looking at alternative office space in the same area, which for my purposes was Benmor. And that led us to learning that there was a building in the area that offered condominiums for sale that were very small, but far larger than what I was paying. So I ended up purchasing a property with about 4 times the amount of space, which still is a micro condo at 440 square feet. And the overall cost of operating that space is less than what I was paying in the co-ownership space. We're living in a world right now where the vast majority of staff do not want to be forced to come in every day, but they want a space where they could congregate, come together, meet, do work together, talk. And so I established this space for them. Everybody has a key and a fob. They come and go as they wish. It's got all the office facilities, copier, internet, and so forth. It's very comfortable, but it is no longer rented. It's an owned space that I use to house my staff should they wish to use it.
And many people are familiar, hybrid. This is like almost like that word pandemic. It's very top of mind these days. So it does allow for that type of environment and come and go, as well as from our point of view as realtors. One of the reasons why we love this idea was that it's also something that, as long as you carry the property for a minimum of 3 years, but we prefer 5, you absolutely are going to increase, the value of it will be increased. In this particular situation, we've already seen the increase in value because we recognize that the price per square foot was lower than the average buildings in the area. So that's something to look at, but you obviously have to be in touch with a realtor who really knows the area, knows the values, has sort of an upper hand with other agents, knowing when things are coming to market or not coming to market, etc. So,
Steve, how is it that you found that the switch from the place you were before, the condo, your staff is responding? Or now that things are lifted, do you see them going into the office, this office space more? Or do you think that they're still just going to remain sort of drop in?
So the co-sharing office space that I previously was in after I gave up the main building remains still our office address for the purposes of business operations. Okay. So whether there's meetings with clients, mail delivery, courier delivery, pick up and drop off, it's still that same co-ownership space, but without me having, pardon me, without me actually having a designated office there. So the staff can continue using that space. The lounge, the meeting rooms, the board rooms, it's still a membership that I continue to pay for. But for the actual space to come together and congregate, there is now this condo that I purchased that they can use.
Just to be clear, the condo, in case some people are questioning sort of residential, commercial use, all of that, it is only for his staff. So it's not like clients are going in there. This is just a solution for people who need to get out of their home and have an office space or somewhere for them to go to because they have distractions at home, i.e. kids, you know, that they're not used to, and dogs that bark. She's quiet right now.
We are now in a world, and not just for lawyers, for anybody that is in the where the staff do not want to be compelled to come into the office 5 days a week. And in fact, we keep hearing more and more numbers of people saying that they will quit their job if forced to go back to work. So smart employers, hopefully I'm one of them, recognize that we have to now accommodate the new reality. And the new reality is that people do not want to be forced to go into the office, which is fine. And the flip side of that is that the employer is not required to maintain very large, very expensive office space for teams that they don't want to come in. So this is a perfect compromise to give them the space without necessarily having to incur significant costs, and quite frankly, building the equity.
Exactly.
I think what it is, that's what I was going to touch upon, is that it's a good way for somebody, if they have some extra money, to invest in a less expensive property. Not everything has to be bought at $1 million plus. These are units that can be bought between 6, 7, 800. You know, the prices are constantly going up in the building. That's what we're watching. And kudos to Steve and, you know, for buying when he did. And
Well,
it's
like I
only
said,
a
he
few
was
months ago. So
Yeah.
it's a great investment, and it's, you know, bringing a team of people together. If they need the space, it's there. It's good for you too, because you're able to go and use it, and you're able to meet one-on-one with your team members. So it works well.
And let me continue this. The building itself is lovely. It's got a beautiful reception area. It's excellently located. It will only go up in value, but more importantly, many buildings, including the one that I bought, have common areas. My building comes with a significantly large lounge. Should I wish to have team meetings in it, I can book it for a fee. It also happens to come with a very large boardroom with all the audio visual, where there's no charge to use. So it's got more than just the space that I purchased. It's also got the common areas, which are part and parcel of the monthly maintenance dues that I pay.
And for a lot of our particular clients, the Graph Calls that is, it also, we are in touch with a lot of our clients who are going from a house to a condo at this stage in their life, and therefore their children are out either in university still, and it's a great possibility or opportunity to create a home for your adult child, so to speak, down the road. You know, why have them pay somebody else rent when they could pay you rent? If you no longer need, you find you bought too big of a condo to house your staff. Everybody wants to work from home. So, you know, it could be 3 years down the road and you don't want to sell it. And perhaps one of your adult children are in a position to rent it from you. And, you know, you have teaching them the responsibility, and your investment is just going to continue to go up because you bought it a lot earlier than you normally would have, maybe to help them out.
Well, it's also a good way for them to, you could say you're charging them rent, but in the end, you could say, depending on your own personal financial, you know, status, you could say, okay.
Don't put that idea out there. Thank you very much. I knew where she was going. I was going to cut you off right away.
I think that's a good thing.
For certain people.
There's another application, and there's a lot of people that are empty nesters, and they're downsizing. They're selling their large home, and they're moving to a condo. And for those people who are still working, maybe not full time, they may not necessarily have the extra space in their new condo to house an office, and they might want a separate unit to go to, whether it's 2 or 3 times a week, that they can go and do their business in. And so whether you are a therapist or a doctor or an accountant or a broker or a lawyer, whatever it is that you do, if you've downsized from a full-size family home to a smaller condo, buying a micro condo as the space that you go to whenever you go and work is a very smart move to give you that separation of home and work.
Yeah.
To also have that space, and to also build equity in the asset that you are holding.
Portfolio that you're increasing the value of, and like you said, building it. And the other thing is also, and this is, I mean, look, here we are obviously saying this is a very positive move. There are some flip sides. Let's be real here about some things that don't work for certain people. But and what I'm going to say is I'm going to put it out there as a positive, of course, but we all can see that there's another side to this. When you were talking about going to spaces, that's just not separating your home from your office space or your work space. For some people, they still sort of want to be home, but they don't have that extra room. So it's still that home feeling by being in a condo. Now, where I'm going with this is that obviously there is a flip side to that we have to acknowledge that for some people that might not work. But you know, certain personalities are more warm, cozy, and just want to be comfy, and that might depend on your profession as well. I think it's really your personality and your style, but you know, it might be nice to feel relaxed and feel at home, but at work. And a condo feeling can give you that. So
altogether, it just made sense. It made logical sense. It made office related sense. It made financial sense. It was just sensible across the board.
And another thing also for Steve in particular is before COVID, it sort of was a push in itself to set up something downtown as opposed to up at Eglinton area, right? So, and many people have made moves over the last 2 years, and this idea might work. Maybe they were working downtown and they've been working from home, but you don't need to buy a condo in downtown Toronto. Maybe it's better to have this condo space even up north. There's tons of developments up there, and you'd be buying even from a blueprint possibly if you didn't need it right away, and then your investment just goes that much further.
Another application is for those people that in the last 2 years moved out of downtown Toronto, or even moved out of Toronto and bought places in the rural parts of the GTA or outside of Toronto altogether. Having a micro condo in downtown Toronto is a perfect arrangement to allow them to both have office space and or accommodations should they want to come into town for 1 or 2 or 3 nights. This way they don't have to worry about always packing things. You can have everything left in the unit, whether it's all of your personal items, change of clothing, and so forth. And it's a very low cost way of still maintaining a footprint in downtown Toronto, even though you may have sold your homes and moved outside.
And in the little condos, what we did was we set up, just in case, we required a separate space for one of the team members. You know, we did put in a sofa bed. Like, that was our choice to decorate it that way, so that we knew that if somebody needed it as a night, you know, it was a late night, I mean, you don't want them driving back or anything. So that option is there. So these are the things that you have to, like I said, forward thinking, right? You've really got to be 5 steps ahead. And another thing in this conversation, just to bring up too, is with your moves, these are things to consider, that maybe you do spend a little bit more on a property that has that extra room for you to create that at-home experience. And then obviously I am not an accountant, speak to a professional, but you know, you can write off that extra room because it is a business expense. So maybe I'm just giving people the idea to think a little bit differently when purchasing a home for residential, as it's always an investment. Everybody always wants to make money, even though it's their primary residence and it's their home, but you're always thinking, how much will it go up in value? But maybe spending that little bit more, if you can, you know, run the numbers properly, it might be worth it, because you're going to be able to use it as office space that can be written off and, you know, added to the portfolio, so to speak. So,
Well, I think it's food for thought for many people. And as you said earlier, Samantha, it doesn't have to be downtown. wherever you live, there's condos close by. So even if you're remaining in your home and you want an investment close to your workplace, you can find a small condo that can work for you. And it is a great investment for the future.
Yeah.
For whoever, or otherwise it's an extra way of saving money. It'll increase in value, and then you sell it and you have a nice nest egg to retire with. So it works well with everybody. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. It's gorgeous out. Go enjoy the day, unless you have something more to add, Mr.
No,
Benmor.
just if anybody
No,
is interested in us helping them or discussing this further for their particular needs, because everybody's needs are different. As I said, Steve's a family lawyer. Obviously, we're realtors, and you know, everyone's business is a little bit different, and you want to make it work for you. Plus, obviously, Cheryl and I have had this idea top of mind for about, it's been going on for about 8 months, different things. So we clearly have our eyes open on different buildings and watching where to find sort of that unit that is a little bit less per square foot in an area that we feel will definitely maintain, most likely grow in value. So just feel free to reach out and discuss that with us. That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Have a
See you
good
later.
day. See you. Bye.
Bye.